right, I'm here at the Che Guevara Mausoleum, just in the north end of Santa Clara, Cuba. You can see this monument is built in memory of the Cuban revolutionary freedom fighter Che Guevara, who's a very controversial figure, of course. Most of the Western world sees him as a murderer and so forth. But here in Cuba, he's regarded as a national hero. Horrible day, though, with Hurricane Ian hitting the west coast of Cuba today. So about 300 or 400 kilometers away from the edge of that storm. So it's not too bad, but it still is pretty wet over here. You can see this relief art here. Little mural of revolutionary scenes, basically. It is definitely slippery marble, though, so I gotta be careful. Beautiful manicured grounds, though. Put a lot of their resources in Cuba into this memorial. He is such a hero in this country. Led the revolution that led them to independence and established the communist government here in the country. So, again, depending on your political persuasion, that is definitely going to be controversial, but here in Cuba, he is definitely their national hero. So a huge memorial right here. El trabajo voluntario es una escuela creadora de conciencias. The work, the voluntary work, is a school, truth school of the conscience or something. My Spanish is rusty, but pretty cool. Pretty impressive to see the amount of effort that they put into creating this memorial to Che Guevara. Yeah, the bus is waiting for me, so I'm going to be heading down. I'm one of those guys now. Everybody's back on board. All right, we've arrived at this restaurant, which is Arawak themed, basically. Local Cuban indigenous people. And we're going to be having lunch, which is included in the tour, so pretty good deal. Los Caneyes is what this place is called. And heading in for a buffet, from what I hear. But yeah, it's traditional thatch-roofed Arawak-style Cuban indigenous architecture. So not a ton of light in here, unfortunately, but yeah, a small buffet is on offer. It's quite the difference when the rolling blackout is over, so you can see the lights came back on now. I can actually see my food and kind of identify what I'm eating at this point. And it looks pretty good. They got guacamole, potatoes, pasta, rice, chicken, avocado, just assorted stuff, but I definitely took too much food. That buffet was really dark and I didn't really realize how much I was taking. So you got the rice and beans, chicken, fish, beef, meatballs. It's actually pretty good. Meat to order hamburgers, salad bar with like fresh guacamole. It's so good. Yeah, tons of good food here. And some fresh fruit over here. A lot of guava in Cuba, I've noticed. But yeah, that's the buffet. Pretty decent. They even have dessert. So I gather that this place is actually really popular with German tourists. There were tons of Germans in there, and I've seen German signage around here. I think this is one of the few resorts here in Santa Clara that cater to Germans by the looks of it. Interesting. Looks like they got a pretty nice little pool here, pool bar. Beautiful green grounds too. We're back on the bus now, heading to the historic colonial center of Santa Clara, Cuba. Let's do this. This is the old Hilton Hotel, he was saying. The old Hilton Hotel, now called the Hotel Santa Clara Libre. And this was used as a military barracks during the Cuban Revolution. There are bullet holes all over it. And this is the Parque Vidal, or the Central Park, here in Santa Clara, Cuba. There's a monument here to a local charitable dignitary who gave a lot of money, her own money, to improve the quality of life of people here in Santa Clara. And this is the gazebo right in the center of the plaza, or the glorieta in Spanish. And this here is the Palacio Provincial, or the provincial legislature here in Villa Clara province. And this here is the Teatro La Caridad, so 1885 theater here in the downtown of Santa Clara. Beautiful structure. Beautiful trees, tropical plants. That is the city center of Santa Clara, Cuba. Pretty cool. Yeah, tons of old Spanish colonial architecture, as you can see, line the plaza. Some towering palms here. And the little gazebo. This reminds me a little bit of Las Palmas, Spain, in some ways, a major park there. So definitely an atmospheric colonial city here in Santa Clara. Really historic cars too, you can see there. So I guess he's showing everybody where to get souvenirs. I'm not really looking for any. Hola. This reminds me a lot of Havana in terms of the colonnaded, colorful buildings. It's definitely a lot of color, just like Havana. So Havana's about 2.5 to 3 hours away, I believe, from Santa Clara. Again, I arrived here by air, so I'm not exactly sure, but about that. Beautiful candy cream colored buildings. Pretty much all around the beautiful Parque Vidal in the center. It is definitely noisy in Cuba though, so bear with me as I try to narrate this through the noise. And gracias Fidel, Fidel Castro, thank you, it says. Thank you to Fidel. So a little pizza restaurant. It definitely reminds me of the back streets of Havana, so nice to be back in the real Cuba. So one of the nicest parts of walking around in Cuba are these beautiful covered sidewalks, these colonnaded buildings. A lot of stray dogs, evidently. Yeah, beautiful city square though. Again, this is one of Cuba's most populous towns. So pretty interesting columned baby blue building right here from what looks like 1915. And 333 Santa Clara. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe a bar. A little burger, 24-hour burger restaurant right there. But I cannot tell you just how refreshing it is to finally leave the resort and its artificial vibe behind and really get into real life in Cuba. So glad to be exploring one of the largest towns in Cuba today. It's a lot more historic than I gave it credit for, to be honest. So there's some historic photographs here on the side of this, looks like destroyed building. But yeah, I'm just wandering down the side streets now off the main plaza. Some rickshaws, little motorbike taxis running. Definitely authentic. It's nice to be in an area where it's not just people catering to the tourist industry, but everyday Cubans. So it's amazing just how beautifully crumbling this place is. You can see this building here on the corner. It looks like it's just forlorn and abandoned, but so atmospheric to see this much history. All these historic colonial era buildings lining the streets here in Santa Clara. Really atmospheric little city. They put a ton of effort into beautifying what they have here. So a lot of wrought iron gates on all the windows, likely for security. Yeah, definitely a nice town. I'd like to spend more time here. So unfortunately, this was a package vacation, but the next time I come down here, just on my own separate individual plane ticket, I look forward to exploring Santa Clara in more depth because it's one of the most beautiful colonial cities that I've seen in Latin America, from what I can see. And a lot of character like this. Horse and buggy just running by. Such a cool place. All right, I've spotted a church down in this direction, and I got about 14 minutes left before that bus leaves, so I'm gonna go race over there and try to see it before they board for Remedios. That is the one thing I hate about these guided tour experiences is it's really hard to travel solo like this, of course. You're on someone else's schedule, so it is what it is. I'm gonna make the best of it in the short time that I have left. But yeah, it's worth coming down here in any case, but I guess it keeps you moving at the very least. And here's a beautiful cotton candy colored, almost Art Deco style building. just on a random road a few blocks from the plaza. Colegio Champagnat. And this is the Iglesia de Buen Viaje, or the Church of Good Voyage. Across the road to get a better view. But no churches are actually on the city center square there at Parque Vidal. They're all off the city center, so this is one of them. The Church of Good Voyages. Buen Viajes. Or safe travels, I suppose. And another amazing historic car here in Santa Clara. And that is pretty much it for me. I'm heading back to the bus. At least whet my appetite to visit again. Very cool.